For the last several weeks of these live sessions, we've been talking about the fact that each of us creates unconsciously an internal model of the world, made up of our beliefs, attitudes, feelings, emotions, and then we live through that. So we actually experience not the world, but our internal model of the world. And our greatest power comes when we realize that we can update and change that model. It's a little bit like updating the software on your computer or your cell phone. Things just work better. In this session, I clarify a little bit my model of the world, which I've been teaching for over 40 years, consisting of a map of inner space-time and how that increases our personal power. So, no, I think that's great. That's a big win. You got your new job. You got two jobs, actually.
Yeah.
But certainly you've got, hi, Naomi. But
Hello.
certainly you got the full-time job, which is great. So that's excellent. Good for you.
Thank you, Anthony. Thanks for that talk that you gave me when we were deciding about this. So Anthony was kind enough to hop onto a quick call with me when I was trying to decide if I should stop working for my current boss or if I should move on, because I was very attached. I'm still very attached to my current team. They treated me really well. But we worked through some of the options, and it helped me a lot.
Yeah, well, it was nice talking to you. I'm glad you asked me, for some feedback, right? But who knows? I mean, you might find in 3 months' time, you might find that this new job is far better than the old one. You really don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we are here.
Yeah, but when you're someplace, I mean, Naomi can attest to this. When you're someplace for a while, she was at her job for a long time. Just the thought of leaving it is pretty scary, right? You always wonder, am I doing the right thing? Is this wrong? Am I going to regret this? But at some point, you have to make a choice, right?
Yeah. So did Naomi also left her job? A couple years?
She's a retired, free as a bird now.
Yeah.
Well, not really free, I guess.
Deciding. Okay, so Naomi, was that right that you were deciding whether you should retire or not?
Right. After 40 years, when do you retire?
Yeah.
How do you retire? The prep that it takes to retire. Anyway, just kind of, I made a goal and kind of worked toward it, and I achieved it in January.
Right.
So you actually retired. So made the decision.
Yep. I did. Yep.
Good for you. Life is not all work. This is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm more untethered because I'm going to be doing, I want to just do something different. So.
Great. Very good.
I was passing a tire store one time. They had a great sign, I thought. It said, when you're bald, it's time to retire. The last few months that we've been doing this, it seems like the sessions are getting better and better and better. I often find myself going, wow, this is the best one yet, right? Which I suppose makes sense because now we're all talking the same language. One of the reasons that I started this in the first place, that I asked Jessica to help me create these weekly sessions here, is because when I was doing these workshops and things before, all that people would ever get, in my opinion, was just the surface information. And so I always wanted to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so that's what we've been doing for the last 2 years, is covering the same material, but getting much more deep into it. And now that you guys are using it, getting results and understanding it more, and to me, it's become much more valuable. Would you agree with that? Don't all speak at once.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you're still a newbie, Yvette, but Naomi's been
I
here for 2 years, and Jess
I
has been here
agree.
from the
I'm here.
beginning, and
Yeah,
and
I
great.
always get something new out of every one of our discussions, right? So it's nice to be able to take something that you thought you knew and then just chew on it more
Oh
and
yeah,
then get more out of it. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean you know the the big insight that I had about your mind being a time machine, thinking is time traveling. I mean, you can say that in one phrase. Each thought is an instance of time travel. So somebody can hear that, and if they like it, they can sort of go, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." But we've been talking about that now for over 2 years, and we're still getting insights into what it means because it's a complete reframe of the way people normally think about what thinking is. As a matter of fact, I believe most people don't really think too much about thinking, just for the reason that they don't know what it is. They don't have a clear understanding of what thinking is. But when you think, for example, when you realize a thought is a connection, it's a connection between where I am right now in my physical present in my body here and either something in the past or the future or some alternate present reality of which there's like an infinite spectrum of them. When you get that model, then it's like, oh wow, the idea that you can connect with this idea or that idea, your future self, your past self, possible future, possible past. It has a whole lot more meaning. So the last couple of weeks we've been talking about these NLP presuppositions, and that was very, very fruitful last week. We talked about a few of them. The fact that each of us has a model of the world. Well, in a sense, that model of the world is a thought, right? I mean, there's another example of what a thought is. It's an internal model of the world. But of course, it's infinitely varied. There's all an uncountable number of aspects to it, right? So just that idea that when we're thinking, we're using a model of the world, that's a huge insight for a lot of people. That's one of the NLP presuppositions. And of course, when you realize that, then you realize, well, the model can be changed. The model is distorted. There's stuff deleted from it. There's stuff that's in it that maybe isn't true. So all of those aspects of talking about this, the model, they're all very, very fruitful. And then the other one we talked about was that when we communicate, we have to meet people in their model of the world. We have to accept that their model of the world is different from ours, right? So I also talked last week about quitting smoking and how when I had that thought in around 1975 that I was going to quit smoking, that I decided to quit smoking, even though at the time I didn't know how. I'm not sure if I even believed it was possible to quit, but eventually I figured it out. But when I was looking at the video from last week, I realized, oh, well, there's a perfect example of me connecting with my future self. Now, I didn't put it in those terms at the time because, first of all, I'd never heard of the future self. That concept of the future self, I wasn't aware of it. It hadn't been invented yet, as far as I know. But certainly, I was talking about connecting with a possible future in terms of a goal, right? Becoming a non-smoker. But when I was watching the video yesterday, I realized, oh, there's a perfect example of how you connect with your future self. And in this particular case, it would be my negative future self. Because I remember asking myself, when I get to be 75, do I want to be somebody who's still smoking? And that was repulsive to me, literally. It just repelled me. You know, it was like, whoa, there's no way that I want to be 75 years old and still smoking. And so the negative idea, you know, the negative energy from that concept was enough to say, I don't care how long it takes, I'm going to quit. I'm not going to go down that path of continuing to smoke. And of course, my friend who I offered to help, he said, you got to die sometime. Well, of course he died. You know, he died a smoker. And his two kids, his two sons, who were smokers, they quit like that. As soon as they found out that he had terminal cancer, they quit, like right away, boom, you know. Nothing unusual in that, because, of course, that gave them a tremendous amount of motivation. So this idea that, you know, your mind is a time machine, that you're always connecting to the past and the future, and how you can use that to change your life, achieve your goals, repair your past, your model of the world. I mean, we've proven that you can talk about that concept for 2 years straight, and it just gets better and better. You know, you realize it has more value, right? So, anybody have any comments? Anybody have anything they want to talk about today?
Yeah, I think I really resonated with your smoking thing, Anthony, because I recently also started to try to lose weight again, and I also started learning driving again. So I have always had this. Well, first of all, I have been trying to implement this morning walk so every day I will get up at around 6:30, and I will do my thing, and I'll get out the door as soon as I feel ready. So that I can actually go outside and actually enjoy some of the fresh air first thing in the morning. And so every morning I can actually get in about 7,000 steps that way. And I used to be doing a lot of intensive exercises and thinking that, okay, I wasn't doing anything if I don't do anything intensive. But these walking stuff are great. And you can even do meditations while you walk, right? There's actually, like Anthony's meditations and affirmations are great for that. You can also find like walking meditations that are designed for walking online. There's a lot of them too.
Yeah, there's no end of stuff online.
Yeah, and I thought for the longest time I wouldn't do walking again because I never thought it would be enough of a burning calorie kind of exercise for me. But I think I got more out of it than I thought. So I'm hoping to like continue with this habit for a bit longer. I also recently just picked up driving again because I got into a car crash this beginning of the year and I sold my car, and I decided to use this gap of driving to get my license, to get my level 5 license. So I have been having that ensign for the past 10 years. I never felt that it was necessary to get the full license until recently. But so I was very fearful about this learning process again, because it has been 12 years since I learned driving for the first time. And I was 22 at that time, and now I'm 34, and I had my first driving license on Monday, and the instructor was very intimidating. And I also realized that it's harder for me now to learn things than when I was 22. So I was very frustrated, actually. And now I'm hesitant to book a second meeting because it's a lot of money. Every hour I'm paying her like $80. And it used to be $30 by cash back then, 12 years ago. And now it's $80. It's a lot of more money. and I feel intimidated. So why, like now I am thinking, why would I put myself through this? So this is something I struggle, right? I'm paying money to suffer.
I can understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
Personally, I can't understand anybody who takes driving lessons. To me, it makes no sense. I mean, I learned how to drive.
You have to take those lessons to pass the exam, because the driving instructors is gonna to tell you the different things to watch out for during because she knows which route that the examiner will ask you to take. So she's like, it's actually the reason why I'm frustrated is because how much new things I still need to learn that I was not aware of before. And also driving for the past 12 years, I have formed my own habits already. And there were habits that she was not fond of that were going to get me fail my exam. So it was so intimidating. And this woman, she has, sometimes when you meet your people and you just realize they have a, very intimidating presence around you. And she was like that, yeah. So anyways, it was interesting experience after all these years to pick up.
Well, what I would do, I mean, if it was me, of course, it's not me, it's you. But what I would do is I would find a good friend of yours who's a good driver and just ask them to go with you for a while and drive around and to give you some tips if they find you doing something that's not safe, or if you have some habits that they pick up on that maybe aren't correct. They can tell you, right? But it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do. But I hear you. Paying money to be made uncomfortable, it can be tricky. Have any of you listened to that Michael Caine story, that his audio book, Blowing the Doors Off?
Not yet, but I would like to.
It's great. I love it. I've been listening to it over and over and over again, and it's just great. I mean, it's full of tips. I think it's called. I'm not sure what the subtitle is, but it's something about stories of acting and other rules for life. And there's a lot of rules for life in there. I mean, it's just jam packed of great tips on motivation and goals and persistence and all sorts of things. But he tells this story about getting his driver's license because he didn't drive. First of all, he couldn't afford to get a car, and then when he started working in the movies, he just had a driver. He bought a Rolls Royce and he had somebody drive him around. So when he went to Hollywood, I think he was 50. And and he decided, I should learn how to drive because everybody drives in Los Angeles, right? So he went to the driving place to get his license. I'm not sure if he took lessons. I can't remember. I don't think he mentions whether he took lessons or not. But anyway, he went into the DMV, right, to have his driving test so he could get a license. And he said the guy behind the counter who was booking him into his appointment, he had this speech that he'd obviously given thousands of times, right? And he said, "You will be shown to your car. You are not to communicate with the test person in the car. They will tell you where to drive and how to drive, and you will have no personal communication with the driver. Just do what you're told, hand him the paperwork that I'm giving you and do your driving test, So he said, okay. So he went into the car and he said he sat down in the car, and the first thing that the tester said to him was, "I loved you in The Man Who Would Be King. You're going to have to be total shit to fail this driving test."
That's really hilarious. Yeah.
So I guess, being a movie star has its perks, right? For more information about this online community, to get your own copy of the book upon which this entire training series is based, either the ebook, the paperback, or the audiobook, go to mindtimeandpower.com, where you can also get a free copy of this Design Your Life workbook.